Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver here with my
Live stream
sister,
number 4.
co-host, and partner in crime, Christy Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody. We're back.
Look who's back. Back again. Yep, it's us. Yeah, we
It
can't
is.
get enough of
It
live
is us.
streams this week, apparently,
And we're in a good mood.
which means good things.
Yeah.
This morning, while we were talking about the Chad Daybell hearing and wrapping that up, there was a question to the jury to the judge from the Adam Montgomery jury. And then we said, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll come back when there's a verdict. There was kind of a verdict that snuck in there that we didn't even know happened until it was already out.
It happens so fast. And you'll see when you see the video that it is very,
really
very quick.
So
I think that's what happens when the defendant refuses to come to court.
And indeed, yeah, who said it? Jilly Bean said he better be in the courtroom. No, ma'am, he was not. He refused to come. Our understanding
they tried to transport him.
Yep, he refused to be transported. We understand that in his state, in the case of this phase of the trial, he just doesn't have to be present, but he absolutely does, even if it's by force, have to be present for the sentencing. So we'll see.
So good. At some point, he needs to face the music here. This is so ridiculous that he can go through this entire trial and never even have to be there or witness his own destruction.
Well, his typical lack of accountability. So we want to start with a couple of clips from the closings yesterday. They're powerful. And then we'll get to the actual sentencing. So, Christy, let's kick it off with the defense.
Yes.
Grab a pencil or something to snap. You'll want it.
Be prepared.
Wake up, baby girl. Baby girl, wake up. Those were the words that Kayla used to describe how Adam approached his child when he discovered that she was dead. Kayla used words that were the truth sometimes to fill in her lies. Baby girl, wake up. Those words were from a real memory of how Adam was speaking when he discovered his daughter, looking peacefully asleep, would never wake up again. Wake up, baby girl. But she didn't. Those words were the truth, surrounded by Kayla's lie. Adam is no innocent. Shortly after he discovered that his baby girl would not wake up again, he began a series of decisions, terrible and criminal decisions. He made them with a very misguided belief that he had to make them to keep his family from being ripped apart. And he made those decisions with the input and influence of his wife, Kayla. He did make those choices, and you will hold him accountable for those choices. He and Kayla hid, moved, lied, and manipulated Harmony's body after her death. It's unforgivable. They lied about her whereabouts after her death, and it's unforgivable. But he did not do this to hide that he killed Harmony, because he did not kill Harmony. He did this because he believed it would keep his family together. He did not witness tamper with Kayla. She was an instigator and equal partner. He did not influence her. She influenced him. And most importantly, he did not kill his daughter. He did not kill his baby girl. When Kayla was facing charges not related to Harmony's death, theft, and 2 charges of receiving stolen property, charges that could send her to prison for over a decade. And then, by her own actions, she was facing 2 more charges for perjury, for lying about Harmony's death. And she was subject to 2 more felonies. These felonies, 3.5 to 7 each, potential, stacked in prison. 3.5 to 7 plus 3.5 to 7, plus receiving stolen property times 2, plus theft. So Kayla decided to lie about Harmony's death, to accuse Adam of something that he did not do, to get herself out of her own problems. And what better way than to pick an accusation that had already been made? Adam was already arrested and in jail for an allegation of striking Harmony, a tale that he had struck her and given her black eyes. That became the groundwork for Kayla's own lies. She had to lie because the truth would point to her.
Vomit to the max. What the hell, lady?
The
But I
worst.
mean, what choice did she have, I guess?
But also, abusers say sweet words to their victims all the time. Wake
Right.
up, baby girl. Yeah, he probably did say that. And he probably did call her baby girl after he beat the shit out of her constantly.
Yeah.
He
He
probably called
probably
Kayla
did.
the same thing after he put those black eyes on her. To act
Right.
like because he said lovey words couldn't possibly mean that he would have hurt his daughter is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It really is. It's just gross.
So let's look at a bit of the prosecutor because he was a baddie. He did such a good job.
He sure did.
Good morning again, everyone. I want to thank you very much for the time that you have spent in this case, for a journey that we told you back before we took the view was going to be a journey that you weren't going to forget. It has been a long couple of weeks. You have been incredibly attentive, and we are very, very appreciative of that. One of the things you heard just a moment ago from Attorney Smith was that she doesn't get the opportunity to come back up here and talk again. That's true. It's called taking turns. It's something that parents teach children. At the beginning, state has to go first, defendant has to go second. At the closings, defendant has to go first, state has to go second. Something very simple that parents teach children. One of the other things that they should teach is if you're going to quote the defendant, if you're going to quote a witness, you have to make sure that you're accurate. So I'll apologize in advance, but let's quote people accurately. I fucked up. Again and again and again. I fucked up. I fucked up. That's what the defendant, his language that he used when he told Travis Beach the night he got the U-Haul, the night that he disappeared Harmony's body, to whatever place it is now, where he knows it is right now, to this day, his words, I fucked up. Not she, not we, not Kayla, I fucked up. Singular, personal, solo. That's the defendant's words. Defense counsel got up here in openings and said that you'd hear evidence that Adam Montgomery was out in the middle of the night doing his business when something happened and Harmony died. If that were so, the defendant never would have told Travis Beach, I fucked up. Adam Montgomery was no loving, caring parent, but an enraged tyrant who had no business being around young Harmony. So together, let's look at the actual evidence, the actual quotes of what you saw and heard as we look at all of the charges that you're going to deliberate on that encapsulate what the defendant did do, and talk about the evidence that you've seen tells you what he committed. And we'll start first with what the defendant's telling you in opening arguments, and now, that you can and should find him guilty of abuse of a corpse and falsifying physical evidence. Let's set that as the baseline. Let's start there. Let's see what that actually means before we look at how he committed each one of the crimes charged, not just the ones that he feels are going to distract you from the rest of the nightmare that he's responsible for. Who carried Harmony's body away from the broken down car in the duffel bag, hid her outside of Colonial Village while they stayed in Anthony Badero's blue Audi for 2 nights, put Harmony under a ramp and then in a van, and then in this cooler for weeks at Christina Lubin's house, into the CMC bag, into the walk-in cooler at Portland Pie Company, in the fridge, in the freezer, defrosted her in the shower, consolidated her body yet again, brought her to the Econo Lodge, tricked his friend into renting him the U-Haul, and then dumped her body somewhere. All to make sure that the evidence that could have been brought before and should find him guilty of those 2 crimes, of abuse of a corpse and falsifying physical evidence for this. He doesn't dispute this. The defense said all of that in their openings, that the defendant did both of these 2 bolded things. Since day 2 of this trial, opening arguments, you should then consider not only all of the testimony, but also all of the corroborating testimony about all of those charges, those 2, falsifying physical and abuse of a corpse, to be true. So let's make it very, very painfully clear from the indictments that you're going to be considering for falsifying physical evidence and abuse of a corpse, making this Harmony fit into this and disappearing her body in the condition that it could not be found for a trial like this one. The evidence was there, and the defendant's counsel professed to you that he's not disputing that, not saying he didn't commit these crimes. So you can check these 2 off the list.
Okay.
God,
Such
the
a
visual of
great
that cooler
use.
just, ugh,
Oh, yeah, but what a great use of multimedia. Having the
really
cooler,
good.
the other bag, the slide. Like, he didn't just talk at them and bore the hell out of them like the defense did with all that crazy nonsense for over an hour.
Just say a bunch of bullshit.
He was concise. He was smart. He was powerful. He said the words. I don't know how often you hear a prosecutor stand up in a courtroom and say, I fucked up. I fucked
Right.
up. But he did, and he said it in such a powerful way. But I think having all the props, the multimedia, tools that he used, that was really smart. That, I think, is probably the difference between a good closing and a great closing, to have
Hmm.
plenty to consider, to look at, to think about.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So let's watch the jury coming back.
Yeah.
An actual conviction.
Would the foreperson please rise? Mr. Foreperson, it's the court's understanding that the jury has reached a verdict in this matter.
That's correct.
As to charge ID 1937947C, charging the defendant, Adam Montgomery, with the crime of second-degree assault, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say that he's guilty, Mr. Foreperson?
That is correct.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Yes.
As to charge ID 2027112C, charging the defendant, Adam Montgomery, with the crime of second-degree murder, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say that he's guilty, Mr. Foreperson?
That is correct.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Yes. And as to charge ID 2027113C, charging the defendant with the crime of falsifying physical evidence, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say that he's guilty, Mr. Foreperson?
That is correct.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Yes. And on charge ID 2027114C, charging the defendant, Adam Montgomery, with the crime of abuse of corpse, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say that he's guilty, Mr. Foreperson.
That's correct.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Yes. And on charge ID 2027115C, Charging the defendant, Adam Montgomery, with the crime of tampering with witnesses and informants. Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say that he's guilty, Mr. Foreperson.
That's correct.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Thank you.
It's a weird thing to not be. There you go. Your first use of it. I love it.
Yep. I was somewhat worried. I haven't been this whole time because this is a slam dunk. I mean, seriously, the only hole
Right.
in all of it, besides the fact that the body's no longer, is that not Crystal, sorry, Kayla is a big fat liar. She is a
Oh,
big
heck
liar.
yeah.
And so
Totally
her
culpable in this too.
testimony is hard to fully believe because she's done nothing but lie. But there was a lot more than Kayla's testimony.
Yeah.
So, but I was a little worried. They definitely took longer than I thought that they would. However, there were 4 counts to consider, so I know there was a lot for them to talk about and consider, but I'm just
Right.
so very grateful. I told Christy earlier, if we have to come back here and do a live crying because this motherfucker didn't get convicted, I don't even know what to say. But
Right.
no, no. Yes,
Mm.
some of it definitely rang true, Christine, absolutely. So, Crystal Sorey, her bio mom was in the courtroom, as well as the foster mom who wanted to adopt her, and that
Mhm.
they stood arm in arm while they read the testimony or while they read the conviction.
Yeah.
So here's what it means. Sentencing, there's no date on sentencing yet. It will be sometime around, it could be anywhere from the 1st of April into July.
Yeah, they talked about it later in the hearing. I just didn't share that part. And they were
Mhm.
kind of struggling with coming up with a time that everyone could do. The judge has a jury trial starting soon that's going to get in the way. So yeah, they it was going to take a bit for them to figure it
Mhm.
out. But neither the defense or the prosecution felt like they needed a long time to be prepared for
No.
sentencing. I
Yeah.
mean, what are they going to say? What's the
Right.
defense going to say? You know?
And the reason that we're saying that he will be in the courtroom isn't necessarily because it's New Hampshire law, it's because the prosecution has said that they will be filing a brief asking the judge to insist on him being there, that they really don't think he should get away with just not even being there for the sentencing. So,
Well, and it was one thing that Crystal talked about in an interview after the verdict was read that it she's been so angry that he's been allowed to not attend
mhm,
and that he needs to be there and he needs to face up to
mhm,
what he's done here, and being allowed to just sit in a cell and refuse it
mhm.
is just gross.
It is. It's incredibly gross. Now, Adam's already in prison on a 30-year sentence for gun crimes. So, it's he's already in prison either way. So the sentencing could take a while. It doesn't really matter. But
Yeah,
here's what he's looking at: 35 years to life on the murder charge. And they will ask for the full sentence because she was younger than 13 years old.
right.
Uh, the second degree assault, falsifying physical evidence, and tampering with a witness carry 3.5 to 7 years each.
Hmm.
And the abuse of a corpse is a misdemeanor that has a minimum sentence of or a maximum sentence of 12 months in jail. All of those horrific things he did to that baby's body,
Yeah,
12 months in jail.
we have a problem, I think, in this country with not taking things like that more seriously,
Mhm.
because we've noticed that before
Mhm.
with other cases that like there's not a lot.
Yeah. But that's what he's facing. I think it's very safe to say that Adam Montgomery is never leaving prison.
No.
And frankly, just judging by what an asshole he is, he probably will leave prison in a body bag because of something he did.
I would imagine so. Yeah. He's certainly not contrite in any way at this point. So,
But I don't see him ever being a free man after this.
no, I don't
I
either.
also don't see Harmony's body ever being recovered. I just don't think there's
No,
even a possibility that that's going to happen,
I don't
unfortunately.
think there's a body to recover.
I don't really either. Whatever he transported out of state and tossed, it's just not. It's not going to happen, which
No.
really sucks. Really sucks. But
Hmm.
at any rate, we're so happy. One thing I was thinking about after we learned in De Belvallo that Alex, on his way home from cutting up and burning poor Tylee's body, stopped at Del Taco and got lunch. Ruined
Mm,
me on Del Taco. Now, to be fair,
yeah,
I'd only ever eaten there once and it wasn't that great, but it just turns my stomach. I can't even imagine eating there now. Every time I
right.
drive past there, I'm like, ugh, no. Del Taco has struggled. They have run a ton of like community things and ads, and the little manager girl shows up in community groups all the time, literally begging people to come and eat there. And I wonder how many of them are like me that are like, and maybe not. I mean, I know I'm hardcore, and a lot of people probably don't even make the connection, but those that do probably aren't eating there because it's just gut wrenching.
It
So I
is.
was thinking about Portland Pizza Company or Pie Company. How many
Mhm,
people cannot bring themselves to eat at Portland Pie Company knowing that that little girl's body had been stored in their walk in?
right? It's awful.
It makes me so sick to think that
Yeah.
that was going on. And honestly, if I lived in that town, there is no way in hell I would ever eat there for that
No,
reason.
no.
Amy said their
No, no,
food's
no.
not great. Okay,
Uh,
well, yeah.
and yes, Shelley, Adam's father did pass from an OD this week.
Mhm. Yeah, in Florida, I think. Yeah.
I can't imagine the stress on someone knowing that their child, and I also can't imagine that he was much of a dad considering Adam's history, but to think that your son is on trial for this murder, yeah.
Mhm. Oh, okay. Gloria and Amanda are saying that that place is closed.
Oh,
Well,
is it?
for a good reason.
Yeah,
Not that they did
sadly.
anything wrong, but seriously, there's no way I would ever eat there in a zillion years. Ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I hope Adam is
agreed.
having the day he deserves. I was thinking about his attorney, who I thought was weird and inappropriate as hell. But can you imagine trying to defend somebody in a murder trial who won't even come to court?
No,
Do you think that
I
Adam just
can't. I
knew from
mean,
the get go there's no way in hell he's getting away with this and he just
yes, but if
chose to
he
blow it
did,
off?
why didn't he plead guilty? But if that was the
That's a
case,
good
I just
question.
don't. I mean, there's some real arrogance here,
Hmm.
thinking that if he admitted to some of it, that they wouldn't convict him on the rest. Is that what he thought? I don't even know. I can't get my brain around it at all.
That was my other question for all of you. Do you think that that backfired stupendously, or do you think it wouldn't have mattered either way? Do you think this conviction was coming regardless, or do you think that copying to those things was the thing that sunk him? Personally, I kind of think it wouldn't have mattered either way. It was a very strange choice.
I
Uh,
think so
I'm
too.
also really curious to know who cooked up that idea. Was this his attorney going, here's the one thing I think we could do that might make this better? Or do you think that he decided this on his own and told his attorney, this is what we're doing?
I can't imagine that a defense attorney would ever recommend pleading guilty to part of the crime you're on trial for and not another part. That just doesn't track for
Hmm.
me coming from an attorney.
Like, can you imagine Chad Daybell on day one, John Pryor going, hey, listen, just so y'all know, he did do the fraud. He did have involvement in Tylee and JJ, but he did not kill Tammy.
Yeah.
Do you think that would help him?
No, not at all.
I don't either. It's a weird choice. I've never seen somebody do that before,
I haven't either.
which does make me think that maybe that was his stupid plan. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, this defense attorney, she was real weird.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'll bet she's so damn glad this piece is over that she doesn't even know what to do with herself. Now, if she
Yeah.
could just get through sentencing with him, then she's done with him.
Yeah, I cannot imagine she's got much love for him, considering.
Well, he essentially left her and the other guy just holding the bag. You
Yeah.
know, they
Well,
got to
go
stand
defend me.
accountable every day while he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
I'll bet that as an attorney, I'll bet that felt terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that it did. And like, how do you expect me to defend you if you won't even show up to court?
Yeah.
Very messed up.
Super, super. But we will take the wins where we can get them. and
Yes, we sure will.
justice for Harmony has finally been served. Now holding space for some epic sentences, but I think he's going to get them. I think he'll get
He
the book
will.
thrown super hard at him, and but that's just a formality at this point, especially with the 30 years he's already got.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Mm-mm.
Thank God for his other children.
Hmm. Now, Kayla is eligible for parole in a couple of months. I don't know if that goes in front of a parole board who makes that decision or if that is truly the end of her sentence. I wasn't sure.
I'm not sure either.
If it's not and a parole board gets to decide, I sure hope they look at all of it and go, bitch, you're not leaving here until we absolutely have to let you out. But I don't
Right?
know what the case is there.
Let her children become adults before they have to deal with her ass.
Hmm. And
Ugh,
honestly, when you look at Junkie Kayla versus Kayla that's been in prison for a while, holy shit, they are two different people completely.
totally. Yeah,
She is better off where she is.
she really is.
She's clean, she's fed, she's
She's
not
frankly
being
lucky to be
abused.
alive.
Uh-huh, and she's not hurting anybody. Oh, she still has more charges pending? Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Kayla needs to
Okay.
stay locked up for her own good.
She
Yeah,
does. Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely not capable of keeping herself or anyone else safe.
no. No, she's certainly not. Ugh, what a sad case.
Let's look at Harmony's picture one more time.
Yeah.
All of this is because of this sweet, darling little kid.
Who was loved.
She was.
This didn't have to happen. She could be safe
No.
and warm and adopted with her brother in a family
Hmm.
that adored her. None of
Yep,
this had to happen.
she could.
Yep.
Mm.
Well, that's it. So besides Trachonis, I think, and the case, the Nori Jones case here in Idaho that we're really sinking into, I think that's kind of it right now. Am I wrong? I think I'm
Yes,
probably
although
wrong. Oh no, Brian Smith is still going on.
Brian Smith is still going on. Well, and the Benedict case, next Benedict, the governor has made a statement
Oh,
encouraging the police to do the right thing and to combat
excellent.
bullying. So even in Oklahoma, the governor came forward and stood up for next, used their correct name and pronouns in the statement. Like,
Hmm.
mom has
Excellent.
come forward with a statement apologizing for misnaming and misgendering next, which I thought was cool. So there's some good things happening
Hmm.
there. But yeah, the governor has come out with a very public statement. So yeah,
Hmm.
they're going to be investigating this because they don't not going to dare not now.
Good. Good. Oh well, people
Really,
are going. This is now finally caught national wind and is
yeah.
yeah, they're not going to get away with
And that
that.
governor's like, well, we're not going to let our state seem this stupid and backward.
Right, right. Only because he's in deep water over his laws. Right, absolutely.
I know, right? Like it's not necessarily benevolent on his part, but it is a good thing
Hmm.
for the family.
Yeah, good, good. Well, I noticed this morning that there was a state school board meeting that people were absolutely flooding into
Good.
to demand something better and to demand
Hmm.
that they get that stupid woman from California off of any board and out of anything to do with their education system because
Right.
she is the instigator of hate crimes and has no business being there. She doesn't live in their
No,
state. She doesn't even have
it's so
children.
stupid.
She
I don't
has no business
understand
being
how.
involved.
Yeah, I don't understand how they're allowing any of that to begin with. But
No, it needs
maybe
to
they need to
stop.
see the reality that this does actually result in the death of kids.
Hmm. Well, good on the Oklahomans that are getting rowdy on this and everyone else across the country that is the only thing that's going to combat this.
It is agreed.
Yep.
That's why true
Good.
crime matters.
It is why true crime matters. It matters because it helps us as citizens to understand our criminal justice system
Hmm.
because the average American does not understand the criminal justice system. I am
Not at
blown away
all.
at conversations that I have with people all the time that don't know the difference between civil and criminal,
Hmm.
don't know the difference between state and federal, don't
Hmm.
understand basic laws around
Yeah.
crime. Uh,
Yeah.
the amount of myths or just disinformation in the crime world in this country is pretty scary.
It really is because these are the very people getting called to be jurors.
Yeah.
Like, we got to
Or in other
understand our
positions of
system.
power. Yeah. I mean, how many senators and House of Representatives in this country can you think of right now that clearly don't have any concept of the Constitution?
Yeah.
I mean, you see it in every facet of our government, in every facet of our populace. True crime matters because we help people to understand the law, and that helps
Right.
you. That helps
Well,
protect you
yeah.
in every way. And you're right, it's about not being quiet anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, it's about holding our system accountable.
Uh-huh.
And if the system is failing, then it's our
Mhm.
job to speak up until it's not failing anymore.
Yep. Yep. We just all have to keep going, keep running our mouths, keep
Hmm.
keep talking,
We
keep
do. We have
demanding
to
better.
continue being those annoying true crimers, but that's
Mhm.
okay because
That's okay.
I don't have any problem with that.
We keep shining light on dark places. I mean, there's
Yep.
big responsibility in the true crime world to be above board, to be
Yes.
ethical, to be intelligent, to be careful. There's two cases that I can think of off the top of my head right now where true crime podcasters and bloggers have been charged because of their
Yep.
behavior in either slander or in wading way too deep into a case. And actually,
Like
there's a case right
tampering.
now of a true crimer that's been charged with tampering with a witness.
Yeah. Like, whoa, that is definitely not what we're here to do.
No, it shouldn't be. And honestly, and I mean this about us too. If you see true crimers or initiate with true crimers that are doing unethical things, call it out. Always call it
Absolutely.
out.
Absolutely.
And then don't
We
give those
weigh very
people.
carefully everything that we do
Yeah.
and everything that we say.
Mhm. Yep. And always don't don't give airtime. Don't give your attention or your engagement to people that are doing stuff like that. The best
Yeah,
way we can fight that is to let those people fall into oblivion and
absolutely.
keep focusing on the good work. So
Yep.
we try. I'm sure we have also, done stupid things because we all do, but we try. And I
Hmm.
think one thing we can do in the true crime world is to just keep raising the bar on the
Yep.
ethical standard of behavior.
Absolutely. Hold each other accountable and hold the system
Hmm.
accountable.
Yep. Yep. Without a doubt. But that's what we've got. So we're not going to be back this week. I mean it.
I can't
Something
imagine we would need to
really
be,
wild would have to happen.
right?
But we will be back next week with a whole bunch of new things. We've got a ton
Uh-huh.
of stuff going. I
We
promise a
do.
very comprehensive look at the Nori Jones trial, at the Nori Jones
Yes.
murder, and the
Hmm.
subsequent trial that's going on right now. And then we'll
Hmm.
continue to follow that into completion. There's a lot to be said about that. A lot. I could have Lori Vallowed that case. I wish I had. I don't have time now, but we're gonna
Yeah, but we're
follow
gonna
it deeply.
because
Yeah.
it needs that light of day because probably most of you have never even heard of Nora Jones
No.
because this is an Idaho case. So
Hmm. Yep. So we'll get there. Lots of other things. We actually had a funny, one of the wild true crime roundups planned for you for today before everything else went wild.
yeah.
So we have a really good episode of that for you next week as well because holy shit, people be wild as usual.
Yep. They do. I don't know. People are. Let me just say this: just don't touch any of your private parts to anything in public. Just don't
Yeah,
do it.
it'd be okay if
It
you
seems
didn't.
like an
Yeah,
easy ask,
yeah.
but apparently not so much.
Mm-mm. Not everyone can do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why. I
I nor do I. It is beyond all comprehension.
But with that spoiler alert, I'm going to let you go.
Yeah.
So, thanks you guys so much for being here. Have a great weekend. Please be smart and be safe and take good care of yourselves. This has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.